everybody. Welcome. Today is Wednesday. It is June 29th. Almost halfway through the year. 2022. Isn't that crazy? My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup. Good morning, Mark, Jenny, Andrew, John, and all the rest of you, whether you're watching live later or listening. Thank you for coming by for first cup. I appreciate you being here. I need a little more cream in my coffee. Darn it. I might get up partway through the show and grab a little bit more. Andrew is joining us from his vacation. That's how much he misses all of us. This may be the longest that Andrew and I have gone without talking to each other in quite a while. It's very interesting. I hope you're having a good time, man. I hope you all had a wonderful Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. I said that. Hope you had a wonderful Tuesday. I'd love to hear what you did, how you spent your time. Did you have some wins, some victories? Were there some positive elements to your day? Or maybe some stuff happening, you need some support? Feel free to talk about either of those things in the chat, and we'll provide support if needed. We'll provide celebration if warranted. I had a pretty straightforward day. Meetings and then projects, like just getting things done and moved around and cleaned up. Oh, I did. It was funny. I forgot when I told you about my day that I'd scheduled with a client. This client drives me crazy, but I am beholden to them. I shouldn't say that. They don't drive me crazy, and I'm not beholden to them. This is someone that I have a long-standing relationship with, and they have been immensely supportive, and their communication skills aren't always great, and it can be frustrating, but he's a good person. So helped him out with some things there. Got the Jeep ready to go out on a rental today. Had a Marshall Journal meeting. Had one with Justin in the morning, and then had an editor's meeting in the afternoon. Because despite, I don't know, I think we're in a good place with meetings. I think we do our meetings well. I don't like meetings. I'm very open about that. But meetings done right for the right reasons, yeah, I think those are fine. Good morning, Dennis and Brian and Andy. Denny says, I could always use support. Free virtual hugs accepted here without shame. Hey, I think we all need support. I think we all need hugs. I'm gonna be honest, and hopefully this isn't a little sad, but maybe it is. I think I'm gonna go get a massage. I just haven't had physical contact for a while. Yeah. I haven't had a massage in a year. The massage therapist I like claimed in a recent email to all of her clients that she will be doing some massages next month. She started a massage therapy school. She's very good and is spending all of her time teaching other people how to massage. And I've had some of those people massage me, and they're fine, but they're not her. They're not the original, the genuine article. They lack her intuition. So, went to the gym yesterday. Guess who showed up? Oh man! Fortunately, right at the end of my workout, so I just grabbed my stuff and left. Good morning, Gad. Yeah, the person that I had the verbal altercation with on Friday. Fortunately, he did not try to talk to me. I just left, and was able to correlate which car is his. So there may be days I just turn around when I pull in the parking lot. Now, there is a chance that if the day goes well, and I've been saying this for months, so who knows, but I might go to Taekwondo this evening. My bag is packed. It's packed. It will go in the car. I got a couple things I got to do, but my bag will hopefully this will work out. What else is going on? Got a little bit of gardening I'm going to try to get to today. I've got, I think, one client call. I'll do the books. Should probably clean up the living room. There's a hydroponic setup right there, and there's a greenhouse over there, all in pieces. I can figure out where to put the pieces, how to pack these things up. Yeah, what was the highlight of yesterday? This is something I try to walk myself through. It's if I look at a day and I say, this wasn't the best day. What was the best part of the day? I think the best part of the day was when this client that I worked with, I went over for technical reasons, but he comes to me for advice at times and had a situation that could become a really dicey situation. And he has a tendency he likes things to be by the book, very, very structured. And when things are not that way, sometimes he gets frustrated. And this is a situation where it's not going to be the way he wants it to be. And if he pushes on it, it could get a lot worse. And so we were talking about it. And I said, look, I know you, and I know that you want to do this, but if you do this, here are the 3 possible outcomes. And none of them are better than leaving it alone. He said, I appreciate your advice. Like, he genuinely appreciated my advice. And that's something that means a lot to me. Because not everyone appreciates advice. Even when people ask for advice, they don't always appreciate it. I think quite often a lot of people ask for advice and they are looking for reinforcement of their existing beliefs or opinions. Dad's gonna be doing some taekwondo today. Nice. And I think that I think we can say the same thing about a lot of people who go to martial arts classes. Sadly, they go and they just want to be told that what they're doing is right. They don't want to be corrected. They don't want to be given ideas for improvement. Try doing it this way. What about this? You should look at this. Yeah, well, okay. Fine. You could try it, but that's fine. I think my coffee's a little weak too. Too little cream. Not quite strong enough on the coffee. Man, that makes me sad. Well, you know what? You know what the second highlight of my day was? I had acupuncture too, which was great. I don't know if you all remember, but I used to talk about this is like a year ago. Some of you will remember this. Andrew, it's kind of an inside joke. Okay. So I will, let me explain this and then I'll come back to my story because it distracted me enough to laugh and you all will want to know what this is. All right. So Andrew says, I come home from vacation this afternoon. I'm so sad that I never found Dennis on vacation. All right. So Dennis is referring to Dennis Campo, who is in the chat here, shows up religiously to this show. Great friend of the show, great friend personally. Love this man dearly. He is a brother. On Cape Cod, is it technically on Cape Cod or just nearby? Anyway, down that way in Massachusetts is a town called Dennis. Andrew and Dennis are friends. And this gave way to some humorous and joyful conversation on Facebook. And so Andrew's saying, I never found Dennis on vacation. There you go. And Dennis responds, if they can't find you, they can't hurt you. All right. So some of you will remember that through much of the pandemic, my refuge was the local Panera because it was a place I could go. I could get work done. It didn't cost me much money. In fact, I got on the coffee plan at one point, so I was paying $9 a month to hang out at Panera as much as I wanted. And then I believe because they were lacking staff, they closed the dining room. You could still go through the drive-thru, you could still order online and pick up, but you couldn't sit in there and do work. I checked a couple weeks ago. It was not an option. I checked yesterday. Google said it was an option, so I showed up. Yep. I celebrated. I had a cup of I had a smoothie and a bear claw, two things I never get there. And I was just so thankful to have that space. And I got through a bunch of email in like 45 minutes, if that. And it was just nice to have this kind of second home to work from. I was really thankful. Now, Frank gave us a couple things. One of them I will read first. I asked the other day, I said, what's the difference between a teeter-totter and a seesaw? And Frank, because he's the man, gave us an answer. A teeter-totter is almost the same as a seesaw, but the difference is that teeter-totters can move horizontally and comprise multiple seats. Usually the terms are interchangeable and only vary depending on where you are in the world. Now, I've been on, apparently, seesaws that were wiggly, that the brackets needed to be tightened, but you're a small child, you're like, oh, look how fun this is. And as an adult, I think about that and I'm like, that could have killed everyone. I don't know that I've been on a proper teeter-totter. Now, I've been on teeter-totters that had multiple seat, like 4 seats. 2 is multiple, but I've been on teeter-totters with 4 seats. But I don't think it spun. Kind of makes me want to build one. I'm not going to because it wouldn't get used. There's nothing more sad than one person on a seesaw. That's like the most depressing visual. So I'm not going to build one of these. But I feel like I learned something and I appreciate that from Frank. Dennis says, I never knew there was a difference between a teeter-totter and a seesaw, with the head exploding emoji. And Jenny says, I played on those wibbly-wobbly seesaws too. I thought that was the way they were supposed to work. Maybe some of them. I don't think that's the way they were supposed to work for me. And she didn't know the difference either. It's interesting. All right. There's a line that can be drawn chronologically. And it's a very specific line. Before that line, children were left to their own devices. If you got hurt playing, it was your own fault. You were being irresponsible. Oh, I didn't plug in Ethernet. Hopefully the quality is coming through well. After that date, the best equipment was stripped from playgrounds all over America. And it was really sad. And you know what that line is? That line is when someone got hurt in a McDonald's play place and McDonald's lost the lawsuit and pulled the playground equipment from almost all of their restaurants. Yep. Back when we were kids, you'd get pulled under the merry-go-round and kicked in the face, and the playground aide would be yelling, stop, stop. And the kids would finally stop, and you'd have dirt all over your face, and they'd drag you out, they'd brush you off. You okay? Yep. And they'd slap you on the butt, and you'd run out and go play again. That was the 80s. My understanding of the 70s, it was the same, but it used sticks and fire. But now, what do kids even do at recess? Do they have playground equipment? Do they just sit on the grass? I don't know. Kelly says, remember the merry-go-rounds? Talk about almost dying. The metal ones, and someone would run super fast to spin it around and then try to jump on. See, I wasn't even reading that. Kelly was writing that, I believe, at the same time I was talking about the merry-go-rounds. These were the focal point of many youthful near-death experiences. And Jenny says, our favorite thing to do on the playground. Yeah. Gad says, I used to do this as well. Not always with the result I saw in my mind before jumping on. Jenny says, my parents didn't even ask if I was okay. They said, "You're fine. Go play." Yes, that is what parents would have said. The staff at the school. I'm thinking of public school, like in my K through second. Yeah, they. You okay? Yeah. All right. Go play. But yeah, parents would be like, it's fine. You're fine. Yeah, we used to do the worst things. Just do the worst things. Things that Fox just ran through my backyard with a stick. Hold on. I'll have to grab this off the camera later. I don't see it anymore. That's a bummer. That is the first time. So, if you've been around a while, you've noticed me get distracted by all manner of wildlife in my backyard. Usually it's birds, sometimes it's deer, once in a while it's a woodchuck. I've seen, in addition, turkey, bear, moose in my yard. One of the few wild animals in our area that I've never seen on my property is a fox. I just saw a fox. It was a big fox. It was a fox big enough that if I didn't know the difference between a fox and a coyote, I would think it was a coyote. It was not a coyote. Could have been a half. Could have been a half breed. I don't think fox and coyote can mate. Coyote and dogs can mate. Anyway, that was kind of cool. Jenny says, "Rub some dirt on it," and Kelly says, "Or swing so high the entire swing set would jump because it was never anchored properly." And then again, jump off when it was at the highest. Absolutely. Cat says, "What does the fox say?" I know someone who has left social gatherings because they hate the song that much. All right. The other thing Frank sent us. See, who knew we were going to end up on that tangent? And I think it does not take much to relate martial arts and cultural norms for the time to what we were just talking about with playground equipment. We went hard in the 80s. I vaguely remember before we started using sparring gear in our school. We just didn't. I was really young, couldn't hit anybody hard enough. But it was just part of the culture. It was just part of what we did. So, but now today, and I'm not saying either is right, but there's a benefit to both. And I think the best is usually some combination of both. You should be doing things geared up. You should be doing things without gear. And Dennis, with the old go-to, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I've never seen any of these woodchucks chuck wood, but I do have 2 woodchucks, and I have to wait until sometime next month. This would be birthing season and raising the young right now. So the one that's in the hole there, I do want to relocate. It's closer to the house than I would like it to be. But if it's in there, might have little ones, and I don't want to leave them to fend for themselves. Jenny says, "I feel like I missed out by starting martial arts later. Training is so soft compared to back then. Depends on where you go, and it depends on where you went, and it depends on where you want. What you want. Doesn't have to be soft, and soft isn't necessarily bad." Kelly says, "I remember no sparring gear and ambulances and EMTs at all tournaments." Yeah. I do remember like presetting an ambulance at a tournament. And Kelly answers Dennis, "He'd chuck all the wood a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood." Andrew agrees. And Gad says, "I just know of one chuck that could chuck wood with his bare hands." Ooh, There's a Chuck Norris call and response in that somewhere. Somebody find that instead of a woodchuck, woodchuck. Oh, that one. Still early. Instead of the one that you guys are giving, somebody come up with a Chuck Norris version. All right. Let us talk about somebody that many people regard as being a tremendous athlete. And if I remember correctly, still holds the record for most Olympic gold medals. Michael Phelps. Tomorrow will be Michael Phelps' birthday. And we got some quotes from him. I've had extreme ups and downs. The biggest thing I learned after I broke my wrist is to never give up. Nothing in life will ever come easy. It depends on how you deal with those obstacles and how you overcome those obstacles. If you can overcome them, you're a stronger person. If you make mistakes along the way, as long as you never make that same mistake again, you're a successful person. Number two, the one thing that's common to all successful people, they make a habit of doing things that unsuccessful people don't like to do. It's about habits. Why is it about habits? Because habits don't require as much emotional energy to exercise, to do. How exhausting is it at the end of the day to brush your teeth? How often do you get to the bathroom and you're like, I just don't have the energy to brush my teeth today? For almost everyone, almost never. Why? Because you've been brushing your teeth for so long that it's so ingrained as a habit that it doesn't require energy to do. You just do it. What other things can be that way? This is the whole premise of 12 Months to Health. And by the way, there's a video up talking about workout preparation that you should all check out in the 12 Months to Health group. I'm working on dialing in certain habits. I'm always working on dialing in certain habits because as I dial in those habits, things get better. Jenny says, I forget who said this. Today I will do what others won't. So tomorrow I can do what others can't. Yeah. And Kelly says, unless you're a child, they definitely whine about being too tired to brush teeth. Kids whine about a lot of things. I don't know if that's a suitable counterexample. I understood the importance of brushing my teeth from a very young age. My mother was very open. She's like, look in my mouth. Look at all the cavities. You don't want this. Brush your teeth. Kat says, thanks. You reminded me I have to charge my toothbrush or I can't brush this evening. Well, you could still brush. It just wouldn't be as effective. And our last quote from Michael Phelps, I want to be able to look back and say, I've done everything I can and I was successful. I don't want to look back and say, I should have done this or that. I'd like to change things for the younger generation of swimmers coming along. I'm not a fan of swimming. I remember watching the Olympics when he won the gold medal that gave him the record. It was a cool moment. I don't think he is the greatest athlete of all time, like some people like to claim. The ability to swim is a single skill set, and yes, there's some differentiation between the events. But I would imagine that a decathlete would do better swimming than Michael Phelps would do as a decathlete. Decathlon, the 10 events, which is often referred to as the world's greatest athlete, the winner of that. It's that last thing that he said. I don't want to look back and say I should have done this or that. I think that's natural, though. I think we all look back because we learn from our past. The problem is when we dwell in the past, and we all do it. It's a question of limiting it. If we have a finite amount of energy, if you know me well personally, you know that I use another slight variation of how to say that. If you have a certain number to give, where do you allocate that energy? Where do they go? Are you going to spend them all in the past where you can't change anything? Or are you going to spend them on this, that, and the other that are happening right now that actually have a likelihood of impacting you in your life today? Hopefully, the latter. Hopefully, how you spend your energy reflects your why. Your goals in martial arts, your goals in life, your goals in your career, whatever. When your energy lines up with your goals, which are reflected by your why, you're unstoppable. You have control over that. And if you choose to spend the energy on why you can't, on the obstacles, on focusing on the things that are in your way, no, you'll never get there. Do you want to get there? Kelly says, kids do whine constantly. I have a rule in class. You can't whine till you're 40. That's funny. Dennis says, I hesitated to say it out loud, but I began teaching martial arts in the South Bronx in 1985 and retired from teaching a full-time class schedule less than 10 miles north of my original dojo during the pandemic. Suffice it to say, there was a significant difference in toughness or softness, if you will. The world has changed, and that's okay. There are still schools that teach that way. Not everyone wanted to train that way back then. Not everyone wants to train that way now. Some people still do. It's not right or wrong. It's based on what is important to you. It's based on how okay with showing up to work the next day with a black eye you are. Not everyone's okay with that. Not everyone's in a profession where they can do that. Does that mean they shouldn't have training? I think most of us would say, no, it doesn't mean that. So we train, and we train in different ways because that's the beauty of martial arts. Different schools, teaching different styles with different instructors, teaching in different ways means different people can find what they want out of martial arts. And that's why martial arts is for everyone. All right, time to go, y'all. I want to thank you for coming by. Remember, we do the show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you have feedback or questions or comments or whatever, you can leave them on the Facebook page, facebook.com/firstcupwithjeremy. If you don't do Facebook or it's something you want to share privately, you can email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com. And if you want to support us, join the Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. I had another Patreon person join last night and have started kicking around an idea for another show that will be Patreon exclusive, and it will be available live. And I am currently digesting my own thoughts on that. It will not be available to everyone, but I think we'll offer different aspects of the show to different tiers. For example, what I'm working with right now, watching live will be a privilege for certain tiers. Being able to help set the content of the show will be another tier. Watching the rebroadcast or watching later, we might offer to a lower tier. So playing with some of that. Other ways you can support, use the code FIRSTCUP15 to save 15% on something, training program, mug, shirt, gear at whistlekick.com. If you want the whole list, whistlekick.com/family. Did not update that yet this week. I think that's on my agenda for today. And that's it. That's all I got for you. Just double checking everybody's comments. Thanks for coming by. I'm going to go watch that fox run through my yard on the camera. It's kind of cool. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.